everyone. Welcome once again to the Iconist Podcast, where we discuss anything comic book related, cosplay related, video related, everything nerd related that we like. I'm your host, Barry 3D. I'm here with my cousin, Mr.
Rod C. Hello.
Hey, and today, for the first time, we've got a guest on, my brother in arms, comedy brother, nerd brother, all that. My man, Mr. Dave. I want to script on
Ton of fun. Dave Sokolowski.
Dave Sokolowski, a ton of fun.
I even said it for you.
I know, and I still screwed it up.
It's written on the screen, man. Sokolowski.
Hey, there you go, Sokolowski.
Exactly the way it's spelled. Like,
for such a guy that loves reading, sometimes I can't read.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that. That's for next term. We're gonna work on that.
Yeah, exactly. So very happy. We're going to talk about, and we're going to take you on a tale here. So if you're watching it, you're seeing what's behind us. If you're listening to this, when we put this podcast up, we're going to tell you of a time when two heroes crossed over. The time where Star-Lord and Charles Xavier did a crossover movie. And you're going to say, what movie was that, Barry? Well, the two actors were in the movie Wanted. Right? Wanted, dealing with the fraternity, the assassins. This is what we're talking about tonight, with our man Wesley. And I said, so there's a 6-issue mini series, or a 6-issue series, right? Because it was one and done. And then that parlayed into the movie Wanted that had Angelina Jolie and James McAvoy in it. And we're going to talk about the differences between one and the other. We're going to have our own theories, and we're going to educate you on what those theories are and have some fun with it. And give you some backstory. Wanted came out, and it was a good, fun ride action movie. But if you read the book, you're going to realize, there's a couple of differences that happened or we didn't see. So it had the core baseline there, and it was really stripped down for different reasons. But it was still fun overall. So we are going to jump right into this and see. So, gentlemen, I take it you've all read the book. You've all watched the movie.
Yep.
Right?
Many times.
And we're kicking this off, right? And a little side note is, this is all because of one of these guys that I like to read a lot of his stuff. So Mark Millar is the creator of Wanted. So I'll give you some backstory there. Mark Millar created Wanted. He's also the writer of Kingsman. He's the writer of Kick-Ass, Hit Girl, and he has a whole lot of other books. So we're going to cover this because we know that Jupiter's Legacy is going to be dropping on Netflix soon, and he's made his own little universe with all these characters. Great reads. We're going to go through it, educate you, show you that, and I'm going to ask a very simple question. Do any of you guys know why he started the story behind Wanted, for why he started writing this?
I don't think I know that.
I'm not 100% sure, but I know, and I hadn't read the books in years.
Right.
So when you approached me on this, I was like, I better go do homework. So I went to a website, I pulled up the books, and I started reading through them and whatnot. And I noticed there was a lot of, I don't want to say anti-DC, but it was a lot of personal little, a
lot of jabs.
Yeah. It was every third or fourth page, you could just see one little panel would be like, hey, DC. And I was like, and it started coming back in, and I couldn't remember the exact story of why, but I think it had something to do with I think he worked for DC for a bit, and then they were kind of like, well, you're okay, but we don't want you anymore.
Right. So it was almost something along those lines. So what happens, this goes back to, and you got to bless it, for myself and Dave, we are comedians outside of this. So it goes back to comedy. Comedy is a creative force. His older brother, when he was younger, pranked him, saying that superheroes really did exist,
right,
but they don't exist anymore because the villains took them out. And he was trying to convince them that Superman was real, that Batman was real, but the villains won, and that's why they're no longer around. And so it obviously he was very young to come fall for this prank. And this stayed in his head for the longest time. So he started writing a story that would include why the Justice Society of America disappeared. That the villains won and took out the Justice Society, right? The JSA. And he pitched that story to DC, and DC went, yeah. So he said, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm still going to write the story. But he went even more darker, grittier. And yes, there's a little bit of bitterness probably behind that. And that's why we got Wanted, where the basis is the villains win and take over. Right? The whole idea behind the comic is the villains go in and they say each superhero has about 10 main villains, if not a little bit more, that they fight one-on-one on a rotating basis. So all the villains said, hey, well, if this Superman character has 10 and this Batman character has 10 and Wonder Woman has 10, why don't we team up? Because that's 30 against 3. And they did that worldwide and won. And then with the use of magic and technology, they were able to wipe out every living person's memory of heroes ever existing in the real world. And the heroes and the villains just were still around. They just went underground and started running all the corporations, and that's how they started making all their money and stole crimes around, and they get a little piece of everything. They turned into like the super mafia. So that's where it all came out. So it all came out from his brother pulling a joke on him.
Okay, so he created basically the Legion of Doom, underground Legion of Doom. That's what it sounds like. Like, okay.
Oh, it's like the Legion of Doom teamed up with the Legion of Supervillains that teamed up with, the League of Assassins.
Listen, at that point, it sounds smart. Like, we've always said these kind of conversations. You see someone in a fight scene is always going one-on-one. Why don't you, like, 5 of you? Why don't you just jump the person at the same time? So, all the villains, like, you know what? That makes sense. Why don't we just grab them all and just shake them up and do away with them?
Yeah, but that never works either.
Well, it could probably work.
Batman 66. Uh-huh. Every villain had henchmen. Every time they failed.
The henchmen always came in one by one. They never came in at 2, like saying, Bobby, Joe, take his arms at the same time. Not one like, I got it. No, I got it. No.
Chuckles, get Batman.
While he hide in the all conceding shadows. Right? I'm happy you brought up Batman. So, in this, you're right, Davey. He's put out his middle finger to DC, and he went really dark. So first, we're going to show you the influence of him, right? And the influence is that in the comic book, he drew the main character as Eminem, back from the Slim Shady days. The blonde hair, the opening soliloquy that he does in the Wanted movie is parallel to what he does in the comic book, right? The names have not been changed to protect anybody.
Like the innocents.
Well, yeah, they were.
Right. I mean, he's still Wesley. He's got his best friend Barry, who's still screwing his girlfriend.
Right. The boss changed from an African American boss to just a pain in the ass boss.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was just the producers kind of sitting there going, well, let's just make her fat. Like, we're not going to, let's not offend everybody. We'll just make her fat. It'll be easier.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. So what was one of your main takeaways from the story and the movie, the difference that you really stood out for you?
Well, the main thing was the whole, like, it wasn't so much, like the fraternity in the movie was literally just assassins.
Yes.
Whereas the fraternity in the comic book were all supervillains.
Right.
And there were no mention of supervillains or superheroes or anything else in the movie, which I think plays to the strength of the story in itself.
Right.
Because Wanted the movie, you don't need to be a comic book fan to go out and enjoy, Angelina Jolie bending out of a car racing down the highway or on top of the subway or anything like that. You can just go out, you can be like, okay, you know what? This is what it is. And I get it. They can throw bullets around a corner and everything else, make them curve and everything. And that's great. And that's all the movie is.
Right.
It's just a gun flick that, you know, has a little bit of, you know, edge to it. Whereas the comic book,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you put that comic book, it's definitely, it's going to be 2 movies.
Yep.
Because there's no way you're going to be able to cram all 6 books into 2 hours.
No.
B, it's going to be R-rated, so you're limiting your audience.
True. Agreed.
You know. And C, I mean, like, you're limiting your audience anyways, because it's literally just going to be the comic book fans that are going, I want to see this.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know, so, and I mean, like, I get why they do that. And, you know, the comic purist is always sitting there going, well, you know, they screwed up the book and they didn't even follow it. And, you know, it had nothing to do with the book. There's no similarities whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, yeah, you know what? There are a lot of similarities. But yeah, there's also the guys developed the screenplay based on Mark Millar's book. But that's all it was based on.
Right.
You know, so it's still their own movie and everything else. And yeah, I mean, like, you know what? I don't think Mark Millar's sitting there going, oh, look, another check from that movie. Well, they screwed around with my book. I don't want it.
I'm going to rip that check right there. No.
You know, I'm pretty sure he's still cashing that check. So, you know, but I mean, like, it just proves that you don't have to be a comic book fan or enthusiast to enjoy the movies.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, come
You
on,
know.
let's put it this way. Wouldn't any of us want to be in that situation, driving a car and Angelina Jolie's in front of us and shooting? Yeah, you know, it's like, do I look or do I not look? And I saw the confusion in his face, and I saw it as him playing the actor, you know, playing the character Wesley, because he's supposed to be an introvert at that moment, but also as the actor kind of, is this appropriate? And Jolie was like, whatever. I'm driving the car backward. Like, that sequence was a lot of fun to watch play out, right? And you said it dealt with assassins. The only thing that I think that kind of took away from the movie, and I'll say this, is how they said about the loom, how the loom was giving them who they should be going after, right? Because I almost made like the loom was magical. So I wish it was more of a tactile explanation with that, or explain why the loom was so special one way or the other. But that's it. The rest of the movie, as the movie itself, I liked it. You know, James McAvoy plays Xavier. He was great. You know, the actor who ends up playing Star-Lord, who was playing Barry, no relation.
Which nobody recognized. Like,
Right?
literally, we watched it like 10 minutes before this started.
Right.
And I looked at my wife and I was like, did you recognize who Barry was? And she's like, no. And I'm like, Star-Lord. She's like, oh my God, it was. I'm like, exactly.
You the man.
Which,
I thought,
again,
like,
you know
even-
what? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but even that sequence there, that's such a comic book moment where he hits him with the keyboard and the letters come out and it's, you know, and
And you, yeah.
the U is the tooth.
Oh, the photography, cinematography was so good in it. Like you said, you didn't need it to be the superhero aspect. You took all that out. You made them as regular assassins, well, you know, or specialized assassins, I should say, and it plays into everything going in there. You know, I think what Mark needs to do, because I see that he's developing this world, and I know they approached Eminem for it. I don't know why he didn't do it, but you know, like, Eminem was drawn in there, and as you mentioned before, Fox, but in the movie, is Angelina Jolie. But you notice that Fox, in a comic book, seemed more like
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry, sorry. Yeah.
You know, then you watch, you know, something like John Wick, and you're like, did no one ask her?
I know. And that's the thing. You see her in John Wick and you're like, I could totally see her being Fox.
Right?
You know, like, she's more Fox in John Wick than Angelina Jolie was in Wanted.
Yes. You know, and that's not taking anything away from either one, but that's how he drew it. I mean, the major influence that maybe some people might not catch is, why is Nick Fury black in Marvel Cinematic Universe? and not white, how he's portrayed in the comic book. And that's because of Mark Millar. Mark Millar and his partner, when they did Ultimates and doing their own version of Avengers, he literally drew Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury because he's a fan. So when people are like, "Hey Sam, we see you in the comic book," Sam reached out to his agent, his manager, and said, "Hey, did they ask permission for my likeness?" And they're like, "We didn't get anything." It's like, "You need to make a call." And when they called and spoke to Marvel and all of them, they're like, "Don't worry about it. We'll make it up to you. We know that's how we portrayed you in the comic book. We have something bigger. Would you be interested?" And came back to him with his offer. And he's like, "Okay, sounds good." And here we are, 20-something movies later, right. And he's shown up in every single one. So, Samuel L. Jackson needs to send a gift basket over to Mark Millar.
Truly, he's a key factor for that. He's a key factor for the Marvel Universe. He's like you said in a previous conversation, he is the intertwining glue that just keeps them all together. He's the jumping force from each one that you can recognize. So anybody who watched any of the movies, you see Samuel L. Jackson, then you see him someplace else. If you didn't catch anybody else, you realize, oh, he's been here. Oh, he must be somebody important. And then he's someplace else. Oh, he must be somebody important. He must be. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. He should be like saying, "Thank you, Mark. Come for dinner. What are you doing this Saturday? Come to my house. We'll have dinner."
You do those 22 movies and still counting that you're going to be in them?
Exactly.
And so he's shown up in pretty much all the Marvel movies, right? And he's shown up in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. He's made a couple of cameos there. He's getting a lot of checks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So please, if someone uses my face without, asking permission for the likeness, please make sure to cast me into that role unless, it's a one-shot thing. No, I need a multi-movie deal.
He's been mentioned in everything.
Exactly.
It's not even that you see him come in or come out of the shadows or you hear his voice on a phone or something like that. He's been mentioned in everything that they've done,
right?
Including WandaVision that just wrapped up.
Yep.
Falcon and the
Winter Soldier.
That tells you how old I am, kids.
Yeah.
Falcon and the Look it up.
That's what I'm saying. So it goes back to, I don't know why that deal, because Eminem at this point, if I'm right in his career, he just finished doing 8 Mile. He was on top of his game music-wise. Mm-hmm. He did mention he wanted to do maybe more projects if they came to him. And I don't know if he looked back at this moment saying, I should have done it. Because it was him.
It was for him. Yeah,
it was Slim Shady at that time. And I would have loved to see him and Halle Berry in a movie together. I think that would have been interesting, playing those characters. At least that would have given more a connection to the book,
right?
Than anything else. And I said, don't get me wrong, Angelina Jolie, when it comes to action movies, I loved her in Salt. I loved her in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Tomb Raider. She does great work. But I think I would have stepped up their stock in this if they would have done this, because we might have seen Marshall Mathers in different movies, and Halle Berry wouldn't have to wait so long from Swordfish to John Wick, so to speak. Yes, she's done stuff in between, but to see her in this kind of action role.
Wasn't she Storm?
Well, she was Storm too, but I'm not sure. But she did Storm.
How many action she does in Storm?
Okay, and not only that, we're leaving out she was Catwoman.
Yeah, she was Catwoman, but there's a bit amount of actions in there, but compared to Swordfish and John Wick,
definitely.
Stop over there. Stop over there. Stop over there. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. So, yeah.
Me personally, the best thing I enjoyed from Halle Berry's Catwoman movie?
The closing credits?
The poster. That's it. And back to Wanted.
So, no, seriously, well, with Wanted and everything like that, at least I'll just jump in before we go to another segue. But right. For me, Wanted, I agree with Dave. the assassin aspect was completely different in the book, and I liked it that it kind of gave it that more realistic, not realistic, but it gave it that type of modern feel, because this is 2008 that this movie came out,
right.
And this would have been when did Marvel start jumping with Iron Man? Was that 2002, 2003? That was early 2000s though. Something in that regard.
Oh shoot, that's a good question.
So we had a couple of Marvel stuff already in the bag. But I think I've had other conversation. That's a segue to another conversation with DC and them. Maybe they weren't ready. Like people felt that people weren't prepared to have that type of intertwined
universe,
movie, like what universe and type of scenario. Because anything prior to that would have been Batman and Robin and all those Val Kilmer back to George Clooney. You know, that would have been the closest.
The bat nipples.
Yeah, exactly. So that took down the credibility of Batman. Pull up, nope, too late, bam. So Wanted, having it as like professional assassins and having in that particular regard, I definitely attuned to that. I liked it, and it gave it a different type of feel. So I appreciated that aspect of it. And but the similarities of Wesley having his, his anxiety attacks and stuff like that, finding out who his father was, and along that line, I liked it that it gave it that type of like, unbeknownst to you, you are a key person to the secret society. In your blood, it's like basically he has like royal blood. You are a chosen few. Come this way. Come if you want to live. What? Come if you want to live. So.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, like as I said, I enjoyed the movie. I watched the movie again, and I me and my wife watched it. It was a nice thrill ride, right? And I read the books, just got to refresh myself on certain things, and then I like certain stories from the book that stand out. So going back, like Iron Man, Iron Man came out 2007, the first Iron Man movie, right? And we lost Rod. He went back.
I was going to say, wait a minute, what happened? I've got it here as it was released on. I just had it too, and I lost it. Sorry. May 2nd, 2008.
Oh, 8. Okay.
That's when it was released. So it was filmed in 2007.
Right. Okay.
And then Wanted was.
Welcome back.
Wanted was also released in June of 2008.
Oh, so they're very close together. So it was just catching the beginning of that whole wave, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right. But once again, when I read the book, I mean, I watched the movie. I mean, I read the book before, watched the movie, loved it. Now, one of the things that stood out from the book is how he dealt with situations in the book that were different in the movie, right? So in the movie, no superhero stuff mentioned. In the book, they're dealing as supervillains fighting superheroes and how they got rid of them. One story that stands out to me in the book is how they dealt with the, loosely based Batman character. I laughed. So, I mean, this is not a spoiler. If you haven't read the book, then go and read it. But it's dark humor, very dark humor, and just for those listening, the way they dealt with Batman and Robin per se. They never say their name. They just call him the Great Detective and his sidekick. So we know who we were talking about in the DC universe. They turned around and captured Batman and Robin, brainwashed, Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson into thinking they were actors and that their real names were Adam West and Burt Ward, and then put them on a TV show to play Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson as Batman and Robin. And it can't be what we get as Batman 66.
Well, that was the thing, because he mentioned in the book, there was a couple of mentions of it. The Dark Detective.
Yep.
And he didn't say Dark Knight, but there was like a definite like reference to knights, like Knight. And which is why I kept sitting there going like, you know, it was after, I think, the second reference, I was like, I think he took this to DC, and they were like, no.
Yeah.
Or he was rejected by DC somehow, whether he worked with them or it was that book or whatever. Excuse me. And I think that's why there was so many, like, because if you look through, there's really no digs that I can remember from, like, being at Marvel.
The closest one, but then again, it could be borderline, is if you remember the opening pages where they actually show his dad before he dies, right? And his dad jumps out the window and he's running up a wall in a robe. So that whole opening sequence in the movie where you see the guy who's playing his dad, who they say is his dad, runs down a hallway, jumps through the window, the glass is sticking to him, and he goes across. They parlayed that almost similar in the book where he's there in the room, people get shot. He jumps through the window. He's wearing boots that allow him to walk up a wall, and they look very similar, like Spider-Man's. Like the webbing kind of look, right? But I think there's a similar DC hero that has a similar look that way too. I can't remember their name.
Yeah,
right
I don't.
now.
But I don't see that as like a dig.
Oh no, it wasn't. No, you're right. It wasn't a dig.
No, but that's what I mean. Like there was definitely digs at DC.
Oh,
I don't remember any digs at Marvel's expense. That's what I meant.
Oh, right. Sorry. No, you're absolutely right. There was all aimed at DC characters, you know. Even when you look, if you do some research online, you see the characters that they're all inspired by DC characters.
Correct.
You know, so
yeah, like Birdman,
Clayface.
Yeah,
that was funny.
Clayface, you know, Two-Face was yeah. They're all, you know, inspired in there by them. But like I said, like how he dealt with the situations, you know, he dealt with that situation as Batman and Robin, how he dealt with them. How he dealt with Superman was, you know, making sure that they had a radioactive condom that his wife was buying to use. But when you opened the box, it glowed green, so it kind of gave him cancer, and he's in a wheelchair and at a home. Yeah, he went dark.
He went dark.
But it's one of those things where if you're reading the book,
right,
it plays into the whole, like the whole story of the book, like the whole 6 issues. There's always that reference of, you know, the superheroes and everything else and why we took care of them, and always it seemed to be like either, you know, like part of the costume or however it was, or in the name or whatever. It always seemed to be going against like DC characters.
Yeah.
But in the movie, there was none of that. It was literally just, you know, the fraternity
yes
was this, and we got the names out of a magic loom, and you know, we go around the world killing people.
Yeah.
Want to join? You know,
You got great benefits.
yeah, and I mean, like you know, but I mean, like I think, like that movie, as far as like, you know, like the shoot 'em ups, those movies, right, like the where it's a lot of gunplay and you're kind of sitting there going, that's not really going to work. This is actually my second favorite one.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
So what's your first one?
Shoot 'em up.
Oh, yeah, brilliant with the carrot. Yes. Kills a guy with a carrot. I think that movie's inspired.
Paul Giamatti, and you know what? And it was filmed in Toronto, and it was just, for me, I could sit there on any day of the week, and if that comes on, I'm like,
you're watching.
Agreed. Agreed. Absolutely. I'm there with Shoot 'em Up. I talked about Shoot 'em Up for years amongst my friends and all that, saying that's the movie to watch. It's just, you sit there.
What's this movie about? Absolutely nothing. Just watch and see them shoot each other.
What's the title? Shoot 'em up. What's it all about? Shooting 'em up.
Yeah.
Nothing else to say.
Yeah. And sometimes you just need a no-brainer.
Is there a plot to this? Nope.
There is shooting people
Then
up.
why would you watch it? You watch porn, don't you? Same thing.
Exactly.
It's entertaining.
Why do people climb a mountain? It's there. It's just do it sometimes. It goes back to, some of the stuff I like John Woo movies, right? You get this old classic ones like Hard Boiled and all that. It's just, all right, they just get in there. It's like, all right, so I got a budget for this actor, these stuntmen. Okay, I need a bigger budget for bullets and fake blood. I need a bigger budget. It's like, how many bullets do you need? Well, how many trucks you got? No, I said, the movie was fun. It was action constantly. It had its storyline going. I like how they were trying to use him against his biological dad in the movie by not being, and how they slowly entice him in, right? I mean, his life was crap. Look at Wesley's life at the beginning. I mean, he's working in a job. He's got Janice with a stapler every 2 seconds beside his ear. He doesn't realize his powers are there when his heart rate start going up. So obviously, he's on a crappy medical plan because doctors just say, take this, take that, whatever, but I mean, not going to look for that. He's got no money in his account. His girlfriend is sleeping with his best friend. And as dark as you might think that is, it's actually darker in the book.
Well, and that's the thing. And I think the one thing I liked about the book better than the movie was just like, it's the pictures behind you.
Yeah.
The story is about Wesley.
Yes.
So in the book, first cover you see is behind Barry.
Yep.
For the movie, we want people to go see it. Put Angelina Jolie up on it.
Right. Absolutely, because at the time, she was the recognizable person you're seeing in the movie, right? One of them, I should say. But I mean,
Well, yeah, I was going to say,
well, I mean, at the time, it's like her and Morgan Freeman you're going to recognize right away from the movie. James McAvoy wasn't known, to North American audiences. He's from overseas, so there he's got his career more. Now, yes, everyone's going to, oh, yeah, he was, Professor X. Okay, we got it, right? But, and a couple other movies. But before that, at the time when it came out, the bankable person was,
sorry, but just on James McAvoy, he is absolutely brilliant as an actor.
Yes.
Before the world turned and everybody became homebound, I had an opportunity to go see a performance of Cyrano de Bergerac, played by James McAvoy. And he didn't speak, it wasn't in a French accent or anything. It was in his Scottish accent.
Right.
And it was just utterly brilliant. Like if you know the story of Cyrano, with the nose and everything and whatnot, it was phenomenal watching him portray this up on the screen. And ever since then, anything that he's been in, I will give him a chance to, do your thing. Because that for me was literally just brilliant.
Yes. He definitely has it. There's no question about it. I mean, I saw him, and I'm not as versed as you are, but I saw him, obviously, this movie. Saw him in Mr. Glass, right? And then the one he did before that where he plays the beast there. The name's going to be Split. Yes. Yeah. Oh. And then, when he goes through the different characters and physically he takes on their mannerisms. Like he's, you're looking at him, it's like, yeah, it's him. But you can tell that he's changed into either a little boy, a woman, the beast himself at the end. I mean, it just.
I mean, like even in Wanted, you could see it. Like the opening scenes where he's having these panic attacks, and you can see like the strain and the veins coming out of his head.
Yes.
And everything else, and then you see the way. After he gets his ass beaten by everybody.
Just to say.
And, you know, and then he comes out of it the other side, and all of a sudden you can see the look in his eyes.
Right.
Confidence that's built up.
Well, and that's the thing. The entire look, he's changed his entire look just by his eyes, which is phenomenal to do.
You see the confidence that happens. Like they say, you see when his balls drop, so to speak. You can see the progression from beginning to middle to end as the character grows. He portrayed it very, very, very well. Like, he did an exceptional job. You know, and I think that's what made the movie fun. I mean, the script was cool, but the actors that were in it really brought it up. You know, the chemistry between him and Angelina Jolie was really nice to see, you know. And even at the beginning when he's like the little kind of more of the introvert, wimpy persona of himself, he doesn't like confrontation. And after he shoots the whole scene of, okay, shoot the wings off the flies. What? Never did this before. Oh, got the 3, and he does it. You know, but even like leading up to that, he points a gun at Morgan Freeman, and then he points the gun over at Common and some of the other ones. And Morgan Freeman very calmly, no, you don't want to do that. Keep the gun on me. You don't want to upset them anymore. Just keep the gun on me. And he's very calm. It's like, you have a gun pointed at you.
I'm trying to save your life. Just keep it on me. Focus on me.
Right?
It will hurt you.
And can I just state for the record here, because I know we are recording this and this will be all over the internet in no time. You may be fans of Samuel L. Jackson and everything else, but for us that are old enough to remember Morgan Freeman way back from Sesame Street.
Wow! Yes, yes.
And I don't know if you allow swearing on this, but I'm going there.
Go for it.
And on film, use the term "kill this motherfucker" is way better than anything Sammy J has done. I'm sorry.
Because you don't expect it.
You don't.
It was so like, left field. Right? Oh, he's upset.
Shawshank. He was in Shawshank and he never swore.
No, he was in Robin Hood and he still held it together.
Listen, right? He's the type of guy that when he's upset like that, you don't even look at him. You look at the person like, what did you do to piss him off?
Right.
Exactly.
What did you do? If he's getting upset like that, what did you? No, you need to come over here. Don't do that again. Come over here. Don't.
Like,
stop it.
You watch Samuel L. Jackson in movies and he doesn't swear and you're like, something was missing.
Right.
But when Morgan Freeman drops a motherfucker, you will sit there and go, well, the ending of this just picked up, didn't it?
I think he only swore twice in that whole movie. 2 times that Morgan Freeman, it was that moment, and then at the very end where he sees Wesley in the office again,
yes.
and as the X with the Post-its, and I was like, oh shit, you know, you guys got him to swear? Like, how much more? You know, actors get paid more if they have to alter their appearance. Like, we need you to shave your beard. Okay, we're gonna pay you more. We need you to shave your hair. We're gonna pay you more. Okay, we want you to swear.
Yeah. We need you to swear. What? Watch you.
You really have to? No.
Have you? Dude, it's gone.
Oh my gosh. It was longer.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry, Dave's beard was a lot longer than that. Like
okay, I thought it was me.
No.
I kind of, I'm like, I'm looking at him like thinking,
wow.
I know I've seen your IG and stuff like that, but not a good way. Like, sorry everybody, we're just having a moment here. This is very.
Yeah, if you want to talk movie magic, I did a series 2 years ago,
right? And
this past weekend, I went back to doing that series, and the 2 years ago that I did it, it's been 2 weeks series time.
Oh.
So I had to look like I did 2 years ago. So they're like, we got to trim your beard. And I'm like, you got to what? We got to trim your beard. I'm like, okay, trim it. That's fine.
Uh-huh.
And then it kept just
Kept trimming.
I'm
Kept
like,
trimming.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's kind of hard to stop you right now because now you got to even this out. But I'm telling you, I am not happy with this.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah, but it's only been 2 weeks. There's no way your beard would have grown like that. Like, you could have told me that beforehand.
Yep, it's true. That's a scary thing because, right? You had it. It was wow. It looks good,
Yeah.
but it's
Now,
They compensated you?
going back to what Rod said,
Mm-hmm.
or what you said,
Mm-hmm.
they are going to pay.
Yes.
They're going to have to compensate you. I came in like this. Now I left like that. I took my scene. Someone's paying for that difference.
I came in
For that
looking.
difference. Just saying.
I came in looking like Ragnar Santa Claus, and you're sending me home like this.
That's awesome. I can't even imagine the look on your face when they said trim, and then you saw what came off in the mirror, or you're looking down, and you're seeing how much is falling off. You've experienced what a lot of women experience when they go to the hairdresser. Okay, we just have to cut off the dead ends. No problem. Then they come out like me.
Oh yeah, no, like.
Oh my gosh!
Oh.
That was a lot longer. Oh.
It was down to here, and it's.
No, it was like past his ears. No.
Wow. 2 weeks later. Wow.
And you know what the worst part was?
What's that?
Do you know how many times they shot from the back of my head?
None.
Exactly.
Ah.
I'm like, we could have just pulled it all back and put it into a fucking ponytail, but no. Let's cut it all off. Now, on the bright side, they just pay me a lot of money, literally, to get my hair cut and shave my beard down.
I like the way you're thinking.
In a time where nobody can actually do that.
Oh, you got it. You're ahead. You're ahead.
They beat the system. So anyone
And
listening,
as long as the check clears,
you're good.
this will be the only time I bring it up.
So we're gonna make this the.
But if it doesn't, I implore you to turn into a touch of gray matter sometime soon.
Yes.
But here's some more follow up on that conversation.
As I said, he's my comedy brother, and that's the other show that I'm on there with Dave, and Dave has that one. So it's Touch of Gray Matters. You can find that on YouTube. We're posting it on our social media, the links and all that. So please tune into that one. That one we cover a bunch of different topics and subjects. Everything. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is off limits. Right? But as I said, getting back to it is that they had to pay Morgan probably a lot more, as you put it, Dave. It's like, I was in Shawshank Redemption and I didn't swear. Okay, I was in
a prison movie and I didn't swear. So you better. But I mean, but that's the thing. Like, even still, Morgan Freeman's character, I didn't really see translated from the book.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, that was a character that's strictly made up for the movie.
Right. The closest relation I can come up with is that when in the comic book, Wesley's working for the Dr. Imp, right?
Solomon.
Sorry, Dr. Solomon, yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's Dr. Solomon. And I think he's supposed to represent that character.
Sloan. Oh, okay.
And I get that, but that was the thing, because that was like and this is why I'm like, he's just strictly made up for the movie.
Right.
In the book, he was Solomon's bodyguard, really.
Yes.
Much like his father was.
Exactly.
Whereas in the movie, Wesley is Freeman's employee, really.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I was kind of like, the more I'll admit, I've read the books twice.
Mm-hmm.
Once a long time ago, and
right.
then once just before we came on here. So I've seen the movie at least a half dozen times.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because the one thing that I do like about the movie, and especially like Shoot 'em Up or any of the, like the Kung Fu movies and that,
right.
It's just mindless. It's background noise. I can do like 6 or 7 different things, turn and go, right? I know where you are, no problem.
Great.
Keep doing what I'm doing and whatnot, working away. And they're great movies for that.
Yes.
You know, I think Wanted is definitely one of those great movies for that.
Right.
Definitely it's one you want to sit down and watch.
Yep.
And you can always, it's always one of those comfort movies too, where you can just put it on and be like, you know what? I don't have to think about anything. I don't have to, like, you know, decipher some deep plot or deep thinking or anything like that.
Nope.
And it accomplished exactly what the studio wanted.
Yeah.
And I think, too, it also accomplished what Mark Millar wanted, which was, you know, I want to get my characters more exposure. So, yeah, here, you can take the rights for the name and the characters and whatnot and make a movie out of it. Or we're going to change a bunch of stuff. All right, go ahead.
Well, you see, you just said a good point. It's one of those type of movies that you don't have to think about. And it kind of goes back to what Barry was saying, that for him, the one thing that he wish were more in depth was talking about the loom. But because the movie realized that, you know, the progression of this movie is one of those type of shoot-up type of movies that, listen, we just want you to be pulled into the action and so forth. Don't worry about the loom. We'll talk about the loom in Wanted 2, you know, type of scenario. Like, but for right now, worry about that. So,
But that's the other thing, too, because much like, you know, with Barry and yourself, I mean, like, you know, Wanted's coming out. Mark Millar's Wanted.
Right.
Okay, I want to go see this because, like, I read the books and everything else. And then you see the trailers on TV and you're like, what the hell was that? Read the books and everything else. You know, but everybody else who doesn't know what the books are or is still sitting there going, really, it's a comic book?
Yeah.
All right. You know, for them, it's easy to sit there and go, you know, for them, if they're sitting there going, well, the movie sucks. Well, it's based off a comic book. Well, okay, fine. But for us, you know, any movie that's based off a comic book, no matter how, you know, the book is going down here and the movie decides we're going to do this.
Yes.
And you're all sitting there going, what book did they read?
Right. Listen, I'm the type of person that when I watch a movie, if something is definitely, you said perfectly, Dave. You're going down this route, you're expecting it. You could, you know, you can weave it a little bit, whatever the case is, but the main center of that road, even if the thing goes off the side, it's still touching road. It's still touching road. You don't want to go completely left or completely right. I would prefer those type of movies. Don't call it Wanted. If it was like that, if we, you know, for us who are the purists, just call it like Searching or something else that's not related. It's a shoot 'em up movie. Don't call it Wanted. Then you like you have my like I'll feel more comfortable to it. But again, I do like Wanted. So Wanted is one of those rare ones that you went off. I'm like, I can still accept you.
Right.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good. But there's some movies I can't even think off the top of my head because normally those ones I kind of like throw it in the back because I'm like I try not to. It gets me annoyed when I watch a movie. If you had just taken out the name and made no association to the source material that I know it's supposed to be, that movie's great. All by itself.
Like Catwoman?
Yeah.
Okay, no. Catwoman would have been nice if it just wasn't labeled Catwoman. And that's it.
Crazy bitch with cats. That would have been better.
We would have went off and it would have been
Cat lady from The Simpsons.
You know? Well, but that's exactly it. So that's how I look at it. So Wanted is actually, I agree with you. Wanted is one of those movies that I'm like thinking, you have the source material. Barry can tell you from previous stuff that we used to do. Source material. You have the source material. What's wrong with you? None of you like open your eyes and see. But this one is like, all right, I'll let you guys go. You guys went. Yeah.
Also with that, like sticking with source material and whatnot, I'll admit I've stopped watching over the last couple of seasons and whatnot, but somebody who's read a lot of the books and watched a lot of the TV, The Walking Dead. You know?
Valid.
Like, and that I think that stayed close enough to the books to keep all the people that were into the books
pull you in.
You know, we're pulling you in, we're pulling you in, we're pulling you in. There, people are like, oh, I remember that was from like book 22 or like book 15 or book 77,
right?
And then all of a sudden they were still kind of like, I don't know if that's even from the book or not. Their biggest star of that series, it was never in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Daryl was never in the books. That was strictly one of those, what's Norman doing? Let's put him in the show.
Hey, man, you seen Boondock Saints? Yeah. I think Norman... Bring him over.
Come on over.
Let's make him a character. But, like, seriously, though, look at what he's done with it.
Right.
Oh, okay. So he's done great with it. But, as you put it, they got rid of some of the characters, you know. They always kind of tease you with the character in front of you, saying, well, one of them's coming back, but one character we know is not coming back for sure, right? Carl! So, and that changes the whole narrative of the book. The book is done. And I was there watching it religiously for the first good few seasons, up to the whole prison where they brought in the governor. And I was like, oh, and I know they changed some things, which I know how it plays in the comic book with Michonne and the governor and how they showed it on TV. And I'm like, okay, you can't do that on TV, what happens in the comic book. So I understand. You
gotta adjust.
You know, let's suppose, wait, in the comic book, when Michonne and the governor have their head-to-head, so to speak, it involves a hammer, some nails, and a spoon in crap. And I'm not even exactly read the book. So they can't show that on TV and not the way it plays out. I understand that. But when you got rid of the other characters who were important to the series way earlier than they needed to be, is what Daryl was on one. It was Daryl and Carol that were holding it for me. And then I kind of started losing interest. And then when they came up with Fear of the Walking Dead, I'll be honest, it's like the beginning of the series, I was kind of the first 4 episodes, I was like, eh. Then after I became a fan of it. But it's based on nothing, so it's nothing to compare it to. It's all original, so it's free form, whatever goes. I liked it. But when you have a book and you have the source material, you have the source material, and you make something from it, you got to stay somewhat close to it. And if not, if you're taking a risk, you got to make sure it's good. And Wanted to me is good, as you said before. It's one of those that even though it strays away from the movie aspect of it, which I understand because there's no way you would have got the rights to do similarities of all the superheroes and so forth at that time. It stays there. Come on. The whole, oh, I'm sorry, the assassinations, you see how that breaks out, where he has a car flipping over another car and he's shooting a guy through the sunroof because he's having a smoke, and that's how he does one of the assassinations in the movie. That was fun for me to watch. That was absolutely fun. You get on that thrill ride. It's brainless. You're like, okay, this is cool. I know what I'm on board for. I'm just going to enjoy the ride and have a good time. Right. Exactly. Right. There's other ones where they go off from that and you're like, what the heck was that? And unfortunately, it seems to be, some of the older movies, or even now, I mean, some of the DC movies, they kind of really go off from close to what it should be.
No, just don't.
Yeah.
Just don't.
And that's all we say about that. Bring it in, Dave. Woosah. 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 I get it. Like one movie that, even though it's not superhero related, that I was excited to see and went completely off. And by the end of the movie, I said they should have made it a different name. Oh, we lost Rod again. It should have been a totally different name. Would have been the Miami Vice movie.
Oh,
right?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I remember Miami Vice, the series. Okay. And then I went and saw the movie, and I thought they could have named that movie any other movie, and I would have been more invested if it was called something else.
Oh, definitely. Like, that was not. But again, and I get that, you know what? Let's keep the characters. Let's modernize it a little bit and everything else. And a lot of people were probably looking for that nostalgia feeling that just wasn't going to happen.
No.
Much like 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Okay, they're playing the movies for comedy and everything else. And, they had Peter DeLuise and Johnny Depp do a cameo in it, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of giving it that kind of thumbs up, if you will.
Right, passing of the torch. Yeah.
You know, yeah, which was kind of like, okay, cool, that works out then. But I mean, like the hardest thing I find with, like, especially taking material from the comic book
mm-hmm.
and making it into a movie, it's just you're always going to be more restrained by your budget.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, like, now, you know, Marvel's now playing with Disney money, so what do we care?
We got the Scrooge McDuck vault.
You know, and you can see it, because you can even see it in WandaVision and
Yes.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And everything else. And, oh man, is it Friday yet?
I wish that last episode's coming. It's going to be so good. We could talk about that one another time, but yeah. But you're right.
We will.
We definitely will. But I know you hit it on the head. So it's the budget. I know with Wanted, the comic book, it's dark humor, dark vision. You know, it would not translate into a movie, as you put it. It would alienate a lot of the audience. So it would be a hard
but that's the
sell.
thing, though, because even with, like, Kick-Ass or
Yes.
Kickman and that, like, to actually, like, and I know you're going to get into them in different episodes and whatnot, but it's a lot of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they follow the book to a T, it's an R-rated movie, you know, and you're alienating half your audience.
Right.
Right? Whereas you kind of defer on some things and go, okay, we're going to dumb this down. We're going to, you know, lay this off and whatnot. But, you know, people are still going to be expecting it to be bloody because that's what it is. You know, okay, fine, we'll give you this, but we're not going to give you that. Okay, fine. Right. You know, so that's why a lot of people, when they're kind of like reading the books and then they're watching the movie, and they're like, no. You know, like that's just it. It's because the studio went, no, you're not doing that. You know, you can't do that, because if you do that, you know, we're getting an R-rated.
Yep. Or you have the lawyer sitting there.
And literally, if anybody wants to know what the difference between an R-rated and like PG-13 or whatever rated film, I highly recommend you just write off a weekend and watch the theatrical version of Justice League, and then watch the Snyder Cut. Because there you will see the difference between, you know, the watered down version that will make not everybody happy, but the majority of people happy. It's going to piss off the comic book enthusiasts and everything else, but we'll get enough of the other people in to kind of smooth that over.
Right.
Whereas the Snyder Cut, you're getting a lot of the comic book enthusiasts going, thank you. You know, and a lot of the other people are sitting there going, oh, it's 4 hours long, man. Like,
it was the greatest 4 hours ever. 2 hours in, I'm like, it's only 2 hours? Oh.
Right.
Okay, back into
but that's just it. So if they want to do Wanted,
right,
following the book and doing everything as it is in the book,
yeah,
never mind the lawsuits from DC going,
just get the money ready, just in case. Get the bail money ready.
Look, man, we let you have it in the book, but you're putting it on screen right now, and you're taking, you know, Josh Whedon's cut of Justice League, and you're using it as that's how you're killing the heroes. That's not right, man. But you can take, you know, you can take that 6 series of books and make it into 2 films.
Yep.
you know, but it's going to be R-rated. It's going to be a limited release, and it's going to be literally just for the fans. There's not going to be, you know, like, I can convince my wife to watch Wanted now.
Right.
With Angelina Jolie and Morgan Freeman and everything else. There is no fucking possibility in hell that I would be able to get her to watch Wanted from the comic book.
You know what? I think the Wanted, your version of Wanted, would definitely turn into a cult classic. It'll be one of those ones that you can watch it now, and then we know, give it another 10 years down the line, the fan base will blow up then. It'll just plateau right now.
Right.
But when people start to come back to it and start doing, like you said, the Zach versus Josh version, and people start to see, wait, this is what it was supposed to be like in the books? That version will definitely turn into a cult classic. There's enough history. We've been through a couple. I can't think off the top of my head right now, but I know there's some cult classics that we knew from earlier in our time that were like, yeah, we are the only ones in the theater just hooting and hollering. Give it another 10, 15 years, then the place to be full of.
Yep. I'll say this as some final thoughts, and I'll let you guys have your final thoughts, and we'll wrap it up. My final thought is, one, don't even do it as a live-action movie. Just do it as a cartoon. Like how they did the Dark Knight cartoon. They did it in 2 parts there, and they released it direct to DVD and all that. Do it as a cartoon. You know, bring back maybe some of the actors or actresses, if they're available,
voiceover,
to do the voices, right? That would be a nice connection from the movie to the cartoon, you know? Nope. Dave saying nope.
At that point in time, if you're doing it as a cartoon,
you
do it exactly the way it's drawn now. You get it, you get Halle Berry,
right?
Oh yeah,
that'd be nice. That'd be nice. But that's all. I like your idea, Dave. So bring those people in to do the voices. Do it as a cartoon. The only thing I would say is, you know, Mark Millar, he's creating this world. So if he hears this, listens to this, by some fluke of a chance, someone tells him, here's some advice for him: star in your own stuff. You know, do a Stan Lee. If you're putting all this effort into creating this whole universe, you know, get your face out there. That's exactly what I would see. You know, do the cameo. Do the 10-second cameo. Even if people are saying, "Oh, you're doing a Stan Lee," but it's your baby, you created, right?
Exactly.
Just be the hot dog vendor. I don't care. It doesn't even have to be anything sick. Just put your face in there to seal up the world so everyone knows it's you behind it, because I like a lot of this stuff, and I think I want to get as much exposure as possible. So that's what I got to say. For people out there, watch the movie. Movie is fun if you haven't watched it. Rewatch it. Have a good time with it. Don't think. Turn the brain off. But if you get a chance, read the comic book. Read the comic book. 6 issues, or you can buy 1 issue, you know, with all 6 issues in it. And then there's a 7th issue that breaks down all the characters from the book. So, you know, who does what in their powers and backstories, if you want to get that deep into it. That's it. I'm saying it's a good thrill ride. It's funny. It's action. All for it. And my stamp is, you know, we're doing Mark Millar stuff, and we need more Mark Millar. So, I mean, he's got to have his stuff on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
As I'm looking,
yes,
he looks like the guy from the comics. He's got the light hair,
right.
That's because at first I'm listening to your point of you got to get your own stuff, show your face, and I'm like, yeah, show your face, because I don't know what the hell you look like. So it's.
But it's true, and that was one thing. Stan was great at promoting his stuff. So right now he's got, you know, already in the works. For sure, we got Wanted already out there because of him. We got Kingsman because of him. We got Kick-Ass because of him. You know. And Jupiter's Legacy, and that breaks into 3 parts because it's Jupiter's Legacy, Jupiter's Circle, and there's another one, and you know, and he's got a bunch of other books, that Chrononauts and Huck and Prodigy, you know, that, you know, RPM, and we're gonna cover all this stuff because these are great reads. Nemesis, oh my gosh, Nemesis, you know. So I like his writing style, and because of him, once again, we have, you know, Samuel L. Jackson got job security because of Mark Millar and team. So Mark, get your face out there. Let people know what you look like so, you can get them to a job. And if you feel like drawing us in a book, please, thank you. Yes, go ahead. So that's my final thought.
Side profile.
Rod, what's your final thought there?
So definitely I'm going to say the same thing. Listen, if you haven't got a chance, definitely go and check out this movie. And in the same order, check out the movie, get yourself assimilated to how this type of shoot-up movie is. It's not even a no-brainer, but it's one of those action flicks that you can see the progression, and then be able to go online or however you have the ability to get the comics, read that up, and then you can see the difference, but you'll see what we've been talking about all this so far about the different similarities and see the points from both sides. You'll enjoy what you hear. You'll enjoy what you see. It's something that, for adult fun, it's something to read and watch.
Absolutely. And Dave, your final thoughts on this whole Wanted comic book movie?
Yeah, and not just for Wanted, but for anything really. If you see a movie out and you're like, oh, there's a book for this too, read the book.
Yeah.
Always, 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 always. I don't care if it. Shut up. I don't care if it's a comic book, if it's a graphic novel, if it's a full novel, if it's an entire series or whatnot. Okay, don't just rely on the movies, because the movies always have time constraints. They've only got a limited amount of time to show you what they want and to get across.
Right.
The book has all the time in the world to do with this. And, whether it's whether it's Wanted, whether it's The Walking Dead, or, The Man in the High Castle, Blade Runner, I'm hitting a nerve there. Planet of the Apes, the Dan Brown stuff like Angels and Demons,
yes,
and Inferno and Da Vinci Code and the Lost Symbol. Get out and read the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yes.
For breaking it down, like if The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a fantastic book. Never mind what Disney did to it as a movie. Just put that in, read the book.
Absolutely.
So I mean, like, regardless whatever came out first, whether it be like the book or the film or whatever, even the Harry Potter series, I don't care. Always, always, always read the book.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. So you can find me and Rod. We got our links all below. I will make sure to post links so you guys can find Dave. You can find Dave, myself, along with Thomas and Zolf on Touch of Gray Matters. We drop like 3 episodes a week on that one. And Dave also got the acting going on. Dave, I will make sure. Where can people find you, Dave? What's the easiest way to find you?
Sitting at home on my couch because there's nothing else to do right now.
Touche.
Nice.
You can find me on Facebook at A Ton of Fun Entertainment, at A Ton of Fun on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me on Twitter at Santa's Old. I went a little bit sideways on that stuff, so that one's strictly only 18 and over because I don't need the fucking charges. Yeah, you can find us on YouTube at A Touch of Gray Matter. You can also find us on Facebook at A Touch of Gray, and yeah, you can find us all over the place. Just keep your eyes open and take a look.
Find us.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. This is the first time we had a guest on. I'm happy that our first guest, and definitely not our last, is Dave on the Iconist podcast. As I said, my reading list is obviously read the Wanted books. That's for sure. If you want to read more of Mark Millar's work, then look at Ultimates. Go back and find Marvel's Ultimates. Read the first 6 issues, and you'll see where he brings in Samuel L. Jackson. He actually brings in Freddie Prinze Jr. He's dating Betty Ross, so this causes a little bit of strain with him and Bruce Banner. And he has a dark sense of humor with that one too.
Smash.
Yeah, exactly. Literally. And I said, this is the Iconist podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and donate to the channel if you can. Help us grow. We're going to keep on going. This is a passion project. And as I like to say, the whole world here that we're talking about was created with an HB pencil, a piece of paper, and imagination. Don't stop writing. Don't stop reading. Barry 3D. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Excelsior.
Hope it'll get sued for that.